Well, holy Hector, welcome to the leg up. Well, what a start that is, man, barely standing. We've really hit the big time on those graphics.
Yep,
Happy with those?
I'll be happy to return to how we usually are next week after the budget gets cut.
There's no going back, mate. We're here to stay.
Powerful music,
breaking it down. I like it all. Let's bring in Brendan Popwell as well, our guest from Hamilton Studio. Good morning, Brendan. Wellington Cup weekend, but let's look back at Ellerslie. You were there on track. What a night that was, Karaka Million night.
Yeah, an amazing night, fellas. Great to be joining you once again from the Hamilton studio here. And a great night, terrific racing. It was set up, wasn't it, with the culmination leading into that last race, wasn't it? We spoke about that so much around Agon versus Amaralina. We were not disappointed. We got the clash we wanted. And it just it teed things up with what was a brilliant day and evening. So, overall, I think the figures were through the roof. And the day panned out, and of course Jamie Richards and Team Te Akau, they gained themselves another Karaka Million 2-year-old victory.
Gee, they had a few chances at the top of the straight, Steve. He was lining them up, Jamie.
Yeah, well, I think he got the first 4 home, the Karaka Million. Yeah. That's 5 on the bounce for Te Akau when it comes to the Karaka Million, going back to 2017, Melody Belle. And you look at the CV, Melody Belle winning, Avantage, Probabile. So, look, the future looks bright for on the bubbles, doesn't it? They go on with the job. So look, there could be a Group 1 in the waiting for on the bubbles. It could be as a juvenile or it could be as a 3-year-old. But form says in recent history that they do go on with the job. So
nice ride from Parksy. Gee, he had a split second decision to make. And
he ran about that 600-metre mark, or even I think that 500-metre mark. He went off and went. Saw the pace just dropped off a touch. He was caught 3 wide, and he thought, well, there's 2 options, go back, go forward. He took the right one, and he sat 1 out, 1 back from about the 600-metre onwards, and basically there and running, it's close to an odds-on chance on the bubbles. So who was a well-backed commodity, opened second fave all the way back on Wednesday when betting commenced, started fave, overall 6 races, 4 faves winning. The 2 horses that were not 1-1 in the betting were second faves and Tiptronic in the Karaka Cup, and also Agon, who was well found also on the market late in the piece.
Certainly was. What about Trevier? Gee, she stepped up. No doubt about that.
She's just a Group 1 horse in the making, isn't she, on Trivier. They didn't go hard early sectionals, so she had the right run, just off the speed there. But she's got that tactical speed to put her in a situation where she doesn't rely on luck, doesn't rely on tempo, and she has that turn of foot at the end of a race, which is vital. So I think she heads towards the King's Plate on Derby Day. BP might even know or might be able to confirm that, but I think in 12 months' time she'll be contesting all our Group 1 sprints, the Railway, the Telegraph, etc.
Would they push the button on a... Pops can come in and tell us about that. Will they push the button on a thoroughbred breeders or this preparation with her?
Don't know if they'll stretch her out to 1600 this prep.
Okay.
I don't know if she'll contest a Group 1 this preparation. She's been, I think she was a maiden, 3 or 4 months ago on Trivier, so she's doing it all on one preparation. I think knowing Jamie, he'll contest another black type race over the Auckland Cup Carnival. That might be her, turn her out, bring her back in the early part of the spring.
Probably was one of your maidens of the week, Pops, on Trivier at one stage.
Oh, gee, there's been so many of them, Thad.
So many winners.
Look, maybe. But, look, Stephen said the right thing there. It had the barrier draw, was able to get off at the right time. Look, a few roughies filled the minor placings there, which made it for quite an incredible first 4, which paid $34,000. Now, Justin Cantor was able to finish into second position with one of those horses who ran a great race in the Railway and paid nearly $10 a place, which really elevated that first 4. It was a great day of punting. You've also got Levante winning. Now we get to see that clash with her and Avantage once again. Of course, coming up in the BCD Group Sprint. She was terrific. She showed that acceleration, got back in the field like we spoke about, and was always going to be letting down strong. And look, it's a horse that has got the gears. And of course, it was all set up at the top of the day with, need I say more, having to win off speed coming down the centre part of the track, travelling wide with 60.5 kilos and still got the job done. So, look, he looks heading towards a nice race, which won't be, by the way, the BCD Sprint, as they indicated sort of after that race. So we're looking to take on the Group 1 with him, but they're going to head back to Ellerslie and freshen him up. So over Derby Days where they'll be heading with, need I say more. But, yeah. Unbelievable day of racing.
That was spine-tingling stuff. Levante, man, barely standing. When she got to the outside and went bang, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Huge run. And the extra furlong did the trick as well.
Yeah.
I guess if you look back, and it's easy doing that with 2020 vision, but if you look back, you probably didn't have to look too far outside the square if you wanted to put a little multi together or your pick six. Levante, Entrevier, Aegon, need I say more? They all sort of
round the mark, weren't they?
They were all waving at you.
Yeah. I love that footage of King Kelso, Steve. Did you see him in the stand watching that race?
No, I didn't.
Levante?
No.
He couldn't watch. Pops probably saw that. You seen that, Pops? With King Kelso in the stand, he couldn't even open his eyes.
Yeah. What were you worried about, Ken? It was all in control. Yeah, I'm sure being in his shoes, that would be difficult to watch, wouldn't it? And she's a hard horse to probably watch because she's done that in every start. I mean, you look at some of those wins at Matamata, even like staying close to the inside and just weaving a passage between horses when coming through the grade. So she's just one of those horses. She's a tough watch, but it's also a nice watch in the last 200 metres when you watch her flying down the outside like she does, and she really gets those turbo jets going.
Well, she certainly does. We'll stay with you, Pops. Let's touch on a maiden of the week, mate, because they've been flying as they have for a while. We've had a few winners out of these. We need another maiden of the week from you. Yeah, that's right. Look, we're going to go to Matamata and we'll roll in the footage for you, because I think the Matamata meeting that was held on the Monday was a really good day of racing, and I think there's a number of horses we can look out for, but I really did like this one of Akoya. Now, this is a horse who drew a little bit sticky on this occasion, but got a beautiful 3-wide track into the race and was always going to be presented at the right time. There was enough tempo in the race for her to be able to finish strongly over the top. She had been given that indication that she wasn't too far away from winning a race, especially how she missed the start first time of asking and still finished into the money. Things didn't quite pan out in a race at Karaka, but still finished into the money. Nice job there. She looks like a nice progressive filly. I thought she was one of the wins of the day. I think there was some other good strong racing throughout the program. The 2-year-old race stood up, and even another earlier maiden race with the win by Intelligent Patch, considering he was off the scene for about 320 odd days or something along those lines. So, good day of racing out of Matamata for a lower grade, but I thought she stood out as the maiden of the week. Now, is Aidan Rodley in the ownership there? Steve, am I mistaken?
I believe so, yeah, I do.
How does he manage to work his way into the show every week? Unbelievable. He's done it again, Rod?
He's writing the script. Not that we have a script, but...
Yeah, exactly.
Well related, Akoya.
Yeah.
To Loire, Group 1 winner of 1,000 Guineas last year, and I think she's going to be a 1.25 mile horse in time. Not nominated for the Oaks, so I'm not sure what the plans are going forward with Akoya, but she's definitely a progressive type. Yeah, absolutely. It's a good one. Okay, guys, let's cut to the chase. Oh, Steve, do we touch on the sales quickly? Because they've just been happening as well, and I wanted to have a chat about those. You've got some figures around how the sales have been going? Yeah, I think NZB will be fairly happy with how it's turned out. There was a lot of question marks heading into the sale with the pandemic, etc., which we've had in the last 10 to 12 months. And look, the average was 123,000. That was down from last year, which I believe sat at the high 130s, which was expected. I think the key stat is the clearance rate, 81%. Through Book 1, went for 3 days on Sunday, Monday and Tuesday. I think that's crucial in terms of not just the sellers but also the vendors, but also the buyers, but crucially to the vendors. The money changing hands vital for, yes, the big farms, the big studs, but also the private breeders. They need that money to change hands so they can reinvest in terms of the next 12 months, pay their service fees, etc. So I think that's crucial, the clearance rate, which going back on previous years,
it's not bad,
comparable.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's high 70s, low 80s is around about the mark, and it was 81%. And Book 2, the start of Book 2 was yesterday. I believe the average and the median was above last year, which is very positive, because Book 2, you'll see in the next couple of days, you'll see a lot of local trainers, a lot of local buyers on deck there at Karaka at the sales, and I think that's a good sign about the overall New Zealand industry going forward. A lot of changes have been made in the last 12 months, and that's positive signs that the local side of it are investing on these yearlings, and hopefully they stay in the country and race here. Yeah, well, Karaka Million. Win the Karaka Million. That'd be the way to go. Okay. Trentham, Wellington Cup Day. It doesn't get bigger than this down this part of the world. That's for sure. We're going to go race book order. Look at 4 races on the card. We're going to start race number 2, Steve, which is a 3-year-old sprint, the Concept Security Premier. Headed by Hold the Press, unbeaten galloper, 2 from 2 on the fresh side for Danielle Johnson, Benna Wynyard stable, $2.70 we've posted. Well supported in front of Delatier, 360 at a couple of turns to 3.8. No Filter, also well supported. Richard Collett, he's already been down to this carnival with success. $4.80 into $4 flat. Classine also well spec'd, open double figures at $10, now trading $8.50. Real Slim Tradie double figures 11. Seti Smith from the south at 12. Bold Iris 19. A little bit of specking around Melody Belle at $26. Potentially lease all press profile there. And G-String best of the rest at $34. But overall, hold the press, well supported the top line. No Filter and Classine also spec'd a nice each way quote.
Yeah, KBP, hold the press 2 from 2, put away, nice trial. We've got Delatier back from the mile into this, but we know how honest Delatier is. Which way are you heading in race number 2 on the card?
Look, I really like No Filter, running number 4. I thought this was a horse that hit the line nicely last time out to the races at Ellerslie on the 10th of January behind Maria Farina. I know we didn't quite see the best of that horse on the weekend just gone, but was not disgraced at the same time in the Need I Say More El Manzor Trophy on Karaka Million night. I think this horse got a barrier draw, can take a position, and you sort of break down all his runs. Even the day that he won out of Taupo, he was good enough to beat Carmelas on that occasion. Of course, Carmelas went on to win the 1,000 guineas. He's just been one of those horses that's bumped into good horses. He was in the Not an Option, the Rocket Spade race out of Matamata, and then they tipped him out for a spell, beaten first up behind Jason Beltry, as we know is good form. And I really like how he's worked home late out of Ellerslie. So I thought he was a little bit of a bet in the race, and I'm taken too by the fact, lads, that he has been supported also. So I think he's the runner that I'm gravitating towards. I do like Hold the Press. I like what I've seen from her with how she's a horse who can sit up on tempo and be too good for her rivals, and especially one of those victories being here at this venue in a trial under her belt. So at this early stage, guys, I'm leaning towards the 4 over the 6.
What do you think, man? Barely Standing? You'd have some interest in this race. Which way are you thinking?
I didn't mind the look of Clarkson. Oh boy, Robbie Patterson's really got his work cut out for him with this fella. just will not settle.
No.
Very, very hard to just sit down and just take it easy. Just will not sit down.
He made a mess of it to Rapa, didn't he?
Absolutely, and I guess concerningly, that was apparent in the trial as well. Also, sort of was throwing the head about and but finished off nicely. But yeah, if he settles, well, I don't mind, and the fact that we've taken some money.
There's a bit of money for him.
Yeah, I don't mind the look of that either.
Yeah, okay.
There was a Te Rapa last start during the working week. It was quite soft on race day, but so we're seeing the initial money around Classine. The key, will the money hold up and be there for race day?
Yeah, okay. He's 850. Was he 10 on opening, Stephen, to 850? So it's a
double figures here, 10 into 850, so in a point and a half. Classine. The other firma being No Filter, $4.80 into $4.
Yeah, Pops is one there. So you got Pops, you got Class on. No Filter on top. Hold the Press. Anything down the page here? What do we do with Delatier, Pops? She's honest. She's a little bit in and out, and she's freshened up and back to 1,200 metres, which is probably not too much of a hindrance there down the chute at Trentham.
No, I don't think so. No, I think 1,200 metres, we've seen her do best at 1,400 metres. Of course, we saw that when she won the Soliloquy Stakes, beating Carmelas, another Carmelas reference there around this race. So she looks like she's going to be better suited to that short course racing anyway, doesn't it, in Delatier? Looks the right type of race for her to be able to get back into some winning groove again. I just never have any luck trying to find the right day when it is to have her in the combos. You have those sort of horses at times, but I've certainly got her as my third pick in the race, just because on a class element, I think she's a horse that you have to respect. Dropping back from, what was it last time out, the 8 Carat was where she was last presented to the races. Outside of that, I don't know, I was sort of struggling with the race. Maybe a horse like Real Slim Tradie could be one that you could look for a little bit of a bigger price, but I was sort of hovering around 4, 6, and then 1 and 2 was my next sort of line of trying to play the race. But fairly happy to be on No Filter here at the $4.
Yeah, okay. Pop's happy with $4. Anything down the page for you, Paul, that you can see, you make a case for? Give us something rough?
Not really.
No?
I think the market's been well found here. Oh. Yeah, Real Slim Tradie, that wasn't the worst second behind Hold the Press. Was it at the track? Was it at Awapuni or Trentham?
Trentham,
Yeah, so I thought, at the price, maybe it's a little each way go.
What happened to him last time, Steve? Real Slim Tradie.
I think they're coming back in trips, so maybe 1600 wasn't her go.
Yeah, okay.
Couple wasn't his go. Coming back to 1200, which is always a concern as well. But Kirsty Lawrence, she can have success at Trentham over Cup week. Back to Delatia, gee, his two runs that have been very negative this time and over the 1600 metres, which BP alluded to, the 1000 guineas, and also the 8 carat, where she just doesn't get 1600. But you look at her 1,000, 1,200 metre record this prep. She won early this preparation at the back end of her 2-year-old career. She ran second to Need I Say More in a breeders. She beat Karma Lass in a soliloquy over 1,400 metres, and she ran second to Brando 2 starts back.
Yes.
And at set weights and penalties, she's well placed. She should be conceding between 7 and 15 kilograms between the rest of the field, depending on their ratings. So from barrier 5, I think she can get the dream sit, 1 out, 1 back, Delatia. I personally have her on top in terms of a betting prospect. I don't think she's going to start fave. I think Hold the Press will have that title.
Yep.
But Delatia, I think she maps well. There's enough speed up front. She can just have that soft part in terms of the map, 1 out, 1 back, and she's the class element. And Hold the Press. Track conditions, we'll come to BP shortly about track conditions. There's the odd shower forecasted between now and Saturday. Supposed to improve come the afternoon. Hold the Press, all its best figures, or only figures, have been on dead and slow track conditions. So I think it's vital that race 2, Hold the Press, is running early in the day before the track starts to improve, maybe potentially, hopefully get back to a good 3, but I think come Saturday, hopefully it's around that dead 5 range, and that will suit Hold the Press, knowing that its best figures have been, or only figures have been, on that yielding surface. But again, it's a betting profile. Danielle Johnson, Benna Wynyard, and even the Benna Wynyard horses, those horses in the middle to end market, are running above betting expectation. Montre Moi, last Saturday in the Karaka Classic, running 3rd at a $26 shot, so you can really punt with confidence no matter where they sit in the market.
Yeah, okay. Where do you have the track, Pops? You would have been keeping a close eye on this. What is it, currently a dead 5, is it?
Yeah, dead 5, and there's also been some irrigation, so look, it's been hot
shiver.
everywhere, hasn't it? It's even been hot in Wellington. Look, it's just a case that they're hoping that with that little bit of irrigation and the warm weather that the track comes back nicely. So it's going to have that little bit of moisture in the track. And of course, it's another thing we've got to mention is it is the 3rd meeting in a row at Trentham coming up on Saturday, and they have moved that running rail out as well from, what have they moved, 3 metres.
They had to, didn't they, BP?
Well, they did, didn't they? Because of what
Last
we saw.
Saturday.
Yeah. So getting away from that inside part of the track, which, as we could see after race number 1, that was the inferior ground. So they've just moved that rail out 3 metres, which should mean there's some fair playing field right across the board.
Okay, what about City Smith, man barely standing, Michael Pittman, Matthew Pittman? They usually get one during the carnival. I don't think they've saluted as yet. City Smith, not a bad run last time.
It wasn't the worst run, no, and yeah, you know the Pittman. They've had some success up at Trentham
Pulled
over
off
the
a
years.
few coups, haven't they?
They have. I can't take my eye away from the top of the market.
Yeah, okay. So we're just going to box the top 5 here in the first 4.
Yeah, we're going to kick off the day real good.
Yeah. Okay, easy.
I think City Smith will run in race 3, the rating 65 sprint.
Right.
No jockey allocated for race 2, and it's been dual accepted for race 3.
Well, that's why we've got you here, Steve. Boxing the top 5. Pops with no filter. The Richard Collett train runner number 4 on the book. Man barely standing, given class and another chance off the back of that trial win. And there is money for both of them in race number 2 there, the 1,200 metre sprint for 3-year-olds. Guys, let's jump to race number 6. Desert Gold Stakes, 3-year-old fillies, Steve, over the mile. How was this market shaping up?
Competitive race, Thaddeus, led by a couple of fillies, Fleetwood Macca and also Force of Will, 440 each of 2. But in terms of betting, Fleetwood Macca clearly holds the biggest amount of cash, 5 times more money than Force of Will. So a nice little play for Fleetwood Macca. Once we left the building yesterday on Wednesday, come in the office on Thursday morning. She is the way to go according to punters early doors. Key in that 3rd line, 480 out to 550. Sweet Anna, 550 out to $6. Opie Bosson, good to see him back. Love for all double figures, 10. Signora Nera and Sumi, the stable mates, 13, 15 respectively. El Rosé, a little bit of a play each way. 21 we offered on Wednesday, now trading at 15. And Samina BB, the best of the rest, at 26. So a couple horses to mention. Fleetwood Macca, well back, best back runner, sits at the top at 440. And a little bit each way play, 1x3 play around number 13, El Rosé, 21 into 15.
New Zealand Bloodstock Desert Gold Stakes, BP, a very good betting race. It's the first thing we can say, but this favourite, Fleetwood Macca, the well-backed favourite, has had a bit of a rap on her.
She has, and she deserves that rap as well, doesn't she, with what we've seen from her after she's won her maiden race. She's been, placed twice at Stakes Company, Trevor Eagle, and also in the 8 Carat. So she's a horse that, I think we just forget what happened in the Royal Stakes. She is a forgive over the 2,000 metres, coming back to the 1,600 metres with a good low draw. So I think there is a number of chances, though, in this race. We saw last year, this was a race that was actually won by Show Belle, beating home a Group 1 winner in Loire and Jennifer Eccles. So it's a race where Show Belle was able to find that right spot in front, and those two horses were screaming home from back of the field. And then, of course, it then set up for Jennifer Eccles to go on her winning way towards the New Zealand Oaks. What do we see on the weekend? I'm really taken by Force of Will. I think she's a horse that has just impressed and got better every time she's gone to the races. She took on the older horses last time in 65 grade, and what a race that didn't look like it was going to suit in terms of the map. There was enough speed in the race, and she just bloused them. She just got to the outside and just said good night. I just love her change-up speed. Now, she showed from her win in the maiden that she was able to sit a little bit close enough to them, get across heels. It was a sort of a dead 6 track by the time that last race came around for her when she won her maiden. She was super strong through the line. I just like what I see from her. So we get to see her over 1,600 metres. I'm not too sure in terms of distance how far they do go with her being a daughter of power, but out of a Savabeel mare. I just like her chances. I think she'll get back, and she's going to have to hope that there's a little bit of tempo, but the wide open spaces of Trentham really could play into her hands. I thought she's an attractive watch and maybe an attractive play in the race.
$4.40, Force of Will. Man barely standing. This race sets up for potentially something outside the square, or you're staying in your box here.
Yeah, well, Trentham is known for throwing up a few roughies every now and then.
And
I find it strange that I keep looking towards the top of the market.
It's not like you, I'm worried.
Yeah, you're not the only one. But as BP said, Force of Will showed that she can win from a handy position on the rails, or from last on the turn and just fly home. So she's definitely in the mix.
Yep.
Look, I'm going to have another go with Sweet Anna.
You're brave.
She said, "No, look,
You're brave.
Cost me a wee bit of money."
Yeah, me too. That's all.
Cost me a wee bit of money.
That's
But
right.
I'll just. She's had no luck the last couple of races.
Yep.
And I just think the daughter of Tavistock, I just think she's got a wee bit more in her. So Opie jumps on.
I was going to say, Opie going on.
That's a big play. He's got to pay a few bills. Had an unscheduled summer holiday. So
yes, he'll be meaning business, won't he, on
I'm
Saturday?
fairly sure he'll have her in the right spot as we round the turn with 4:50 to go. So yeah, I'm sticking with Sweet Anna.
Okay, interesting. $6 Sweet Anna in play. She has run some good races last couple. Some excuses, according to Man Barely Standing here. Key's an interesting runner, Steve. I get a bit nervous when I don't see a lot of money for these Benno Wynyard runners now. And, the fourth last time was pretty good on a slow 7. Danielle Johnson gets aboard. What do we make of Key?
Yeah, I think money's crucial when it comes to the marketplace around Key and for Love for All. It's been 7 or 8 weeks since they last run in the Eulogy. So that's slight question mark. I'm sure there's a plan, a deliberate reason for that out of the Benno Wynyard stable. But the 7-8 weeks is a little bit tricky lining up where they are in terms of fitness levels around the 2 and the 3. So money will be a key guide around Love for All and Key with Danielle Johnson, as you mentioned, out of that punting stable. So you can't really knock Key, progressive type, and I think 1,600 will suit on a fresh side. But the 7-8 weeks is a slight concern. Look, just going back on the pedigree around Force of Will, you go back to the second dam being by Monjeur, Carib. I think Baker Forsman trained that galloper 7 or 8 seasons ago. But the fourth dam happens to be the Japan Cup winner in Horlicks, which we know left a Melbourne Cup winner, etc. in Bruce. So you go back second, third, fourth line in terms of the pedigree. They're staying all around Force of Will, but I do concede power doesn't leave too many in terms of 1,600 metre, mile and a quarter plus horses. So, but on the dam side, there's definitely staying qualities around Force of Will. Fleetwood Macca, I think back to 16 is crucial for her. Hard to get a line on her in terms of a 2,000 metre horse. In the Royal Stakes, they went out 2 lengths below standard for the first 600 metres of the race. So it really did suit horses that were on speed, where Fleetwood Macca mapped around about midfield that day. Her last 6-4 200 splits weren't that inferior to the best in the race. The last 600 they ran home in 34.78, which was around about 8 lengths below, 8 lengths above standard.
Right, off the front.
Yeah, off the front.
Okay.
So it's almost a forgive card, and also you can have a similar profile around Sweet Anna, who was around that midfield scenario. It was very much a bunch finish. There was some horses doing some nice work at the back end of that race. So happy to forgive around Fleetwood Macca once we see her back to 2,000 metres. But I think 16, you've got a key guide around the 8 carat and that second placing behind Amadalenia.
Fleetwood Macca out of Machiavelli Miss. Man barely standing. Great memories. I think you were on that day on the Thorndon Mile, weren't you, at 100 to 1?
Saved my bacon.
Got you out of jail.
Was it Mark Hills up the rail?
Yeah, I think we've mentioned this on this podcast about 10 times.
It's a good story, though. It saved us about 300k.
I'll never forget that day.
Gets better and better with age.
No
like
Oreo.
a lot of my stories.
They could not turn the tap off.
Sweet Anna comes out of that same race that Steve was talking about. So forgive for Sweet Anna as well to some degree, Steve? Or
yeah, I think so. She sat in that similar profile to Fleetwood Macca in midfield range. And yes, the winner was far too good, but it was very much a bunch finish. The placings hardly changed from when they made the turn to the finishing post.
Right.
They all ran similar sectionals, and they're pretty good sectionals overall. On the standard of the race. So, like I say, it was very much a sit and sprint affair in the Royal Stakes. And any of these horses that dropping back to 1,600, I think suits, but also a forgive card once they get back to a mile and a quarter.
yeah, okay, Pops, you're going to go with Force of Will, the up and comer in the race. What are we putting him behind in the Desert Gold?
Look, I think you guys have pretty much covered it off there with the other key chances like Fleetwood Macca. I think Love for All is a chance because it is drawn low, and it means that despite the gap between runs since the Eulogy, that she can be still a prospect of running in the money. She's a horse who's at that sort of $10 quote. So I'm happy to give her a chance at the same time. The other horses I think we need to mention just quickly are probably the 2 Alan Sharrock trained horses. Signora Nera running number 6. You know, third at 2 back in the Eulogy and produced some very good figures. Also in the Eulogy did this runner when finishing into 3rd spot and worked home behind Bonham last time out. And of course then Bonham went on to win the Group 1. So I think she needs to be respected, and maybe even Sumi with blinkers going on, awkward barrier draw, but did have the saddle slip underneath the horse last time out. So maybe just forget the horse went around and better runs prior and she gets up to 1,600 metres. They're the ones that you want in terms of playing that sort of 3rd or 4th line in your first falls, because it might be that type of race where something, in that sort of 15 plus bracket can lob into the money with the right sort of run. So yeah, I'll have something on Force of Will and then try and work out the rest from there around sort of Fleetwood Macca and Love for All are certainly in that second line for mine.
Yeah, a little bit of Alan Sharrock to boot, never hurts. Well, speaking of 15 pluses, Steve, what's the El Rose? Cash has arrived. Jenna Mahoney. 7th last time out at Ellerslie, 21 into 15. What do we make of that?
It's still a maiden, but has been running in stakes company in its last couple of starts, or definitely its last start. Met Brando and the Uncle Remus, ran 4th, so there's a nice little form link there. Yeah, look, I think she's found her mark. I don't think her starting in the low teens. I can't predict that. It'd be an unpredicted move in terms of the market. I think she's found her bottom price in that middle teens. I wouldn't be surprised if she touched back to $21 on race day, El Rose. But look, she deserves her place in the field. There's no doubt about that. She brings some nice form around Brando, and I think Bella Button's not the worst galloper going forward. But again, at the end of the day, she's still maiden her up against race winners.
Speaking of maiden, is man barely standing. I'm just having a look at Kalua Nui there. Kalua Nui, number 14. John Barry, a little nibble right down the bottom of the book there for a John Barry runner. You would have taken note of that.
How strange.
Shock horror.
Well,
yeah.
with John Barry runners, there's usually, if there's a wee bit of smoke, there's...
That's what I'm saying. You'd be taking note, is what I'm saying for our viewers. Taking note.
It'll be in the exotics.
Exactly, one for the thin end of first fours.
I think John can't wait to get this horse over ground.
Yeah, right.
He's had a couple starts now at the mile and been running home nicely, and even though it's been made in class, but I think once this horse gets to a mile and a quarter, that's where John's coming from, and I think he's hoping to still get towards an Oaks.
Sacred Falls out of a Redute's Choice mare. Beautiful. Oh, good breedings there. You're going Sweet Anna, man barely standing?
One more time.
One more time around, giving her the forgive card around Sweet Anna. Okay, guys, we'll probably tuck that off, the Desert Gold. Let's move onwards to race number 7 on the card. And that is, of course, as he scurries for the book. Is it the Cup or the Mile? It's the Harcourt's Thornton Mile, Group 1, Steve. And yeah, great to see her back at the track. She's going to be the superstar of the day. There's no doubt about that. Our favourite here, Melody Belle.
And punters believe $1.55 is acceptable in the first 24 hours of trading. They're very happy to take the 1.55 around the class galloper of Melody Belle. She's clearly the best back runner in front of Rock On Wood at $3.60 in that second line. Then you've got the second group of horses, led by Cinerama at $12, Communique 18, Shadows Cast, a previous winner at 19, the Mitigator, the defending champ at 26, Deerfield, late on during the week at 34, holds that bottom price with Tobalicious also at a $34 quote. But overall, best back runner is number 3, Melody Belle, at 1.55.
First up at a mile, BP is never easy, but if any mare can do it or any horse can do it, it's this one.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? I mean, Jamie's always spoken about being that little vulnerable at 12 and 1400 metres first up, hence why they're going 1600 metres first up for this new preparation. She's had a couple of good strong hit-outs recently, exhibition gallops. She's had a trial as well on her home track where she went with Amaralinia recently at Matamata. So everything looks in place. I'll come straight back to you, Stephen, around the Harcourt's Thornton Mile map in terms of horses that want to go forward in the race. You've got the Mitigator and Deerfield in amongst the race, and you even throw Shadows Cast, who was drawn out. But what happens in the early stages of this race, and I suppose where does maybe Melody Belle fit into that mixture in terms of where she lands early?
Well, firstly, with the Mitigator, I just don't know what he's going to present. I've had him totally wrong this campaign in terms of tempo-related. Days where I thought there's been a genuine tempo and he can roll along in front, he's taken a sit. And then other times, and you just go back last start in the anniversary, he went very hard. In fact, the first 400 in the anniversary was comparable to the first 400 in the Telegraph. So it did really set it up for mid to back markers the anniversary. So I'm just not sure how hard he'll go, the Mitigator, but he does look to be the leader once again. Shadows Castle put himself in the mix. We know when he races best, he puts himself in a position where it's quite forward. So, yeah, it's a tricky one. I just can't be too confident in terms of how hard they'll go for the first half of the race. I mean, we talk about Melody Belle, 65% chance. We bring that percentage like we spoke about 7 days ago around Levante. Does she win if this race was run 100 times, 65 times? Would she be the winner? You'd argue and say, yes, she would, probably even higher. So I think $1.55 is probably her top price, and she might even shave and start between $1.40 and $1.50 come Saturday afternoon. We talk about all her key assets, Melody Belle. If you're not willing to punt a BP, what are the negatives around her? If there is any going to this race and punters want to shop around that price, what are the negatives around Melody Belle heading into her first up assignment this prep?
Wow, negatives could be horses getting in the way. I mean, that could be in terms of her getting that chance to be able to really let down from a position where she's drawn. If there are runners that want to punch forward and get in front of her and she gets locked on the fence. Look, I mean, you've got the best man aboard to be able to avoid any horses that are starting to do the moonwalk and looking to try and get out and get into the clear. So that's one thing that could be a negative, but you've got the right man on board to be able to avoid horses that aren't travelling and get into the clear at the right time. Look, it's a small enough field. There's only 7 other horses that are in the race. It's not a horse of 18 runners where she could get buried. So despite that being a negative, I also feel as though it's not too much of a concern because I think she'll be able to get out in enough time and still wind them in. So the opposition, Rock On Wood, well, that is clearly her one runner that they'll be looking for, because this is a horse that has won a Group 1 and has been so unlucky in a number of Group 1s. I mean, he's got to be up there with one of the most unlucky horses in New Zealand in terms of not winning more than just one Group 1. You can wind the clock back 12 months ago to this race last year when he ran 4th and any sort of cleaner run. Look, he wins the race. He's unlucky in the Herbie Dyke. He was unlucky last start in the Zabeel Classic. He's just one of those horses that finds bad luck. But he got the right run when winning the Captain Cook Stakes. And look, he's a horse that Team Richards, Opie Bosson and Melody Belle crew, Fortuna Syndications will be worried about, and that is for sure Rock On Wood. Cinerama, I think, runner number 7 is a horse that can run a place and is the obvious third favourite in the event, I thought, because of just how good she can close in a race. She can do a number of things wrong. But Look, in terms of negatives against Melody Belle, I find it very hard to find many, and hence why, as you mentioned, $1.55 might actually not be the worst shopping.
I reckon the time off is a concern. I mean, I don't generally back them. How long have we been between runs here, Steve? Middle of November, so we're talking a few months now, not obviously a couple of months at least, that go into a mile first up. I mean, it never sort of gets me going, but we know how classy she is.
Yeah, there was the third in the McKinnon. So there's slight residual fitness at the back end of the spring, but she was in a similar state when she contested the second leg in the Windsor Park. She had a couple of runs over in Sydney. She was freshened up.
True.
They had a couple of exhibition gallops. She might even had a trial heading into Hawke's Bay, and she did the job at weight for age over 1600. So there is some similarities to where she was found heading towards the second day at Hawke's Bay and to where she's entering on Saturday, Melody Belle. Look, at Deerfield, there's another pace influence, which we forgot to mention earlier. He could easily lead there. He was late nom during the week, having a crack after running third at the Captain Cook at weight for age earlier this preparation. So, look, full credit for them taking a gamble here. Look, Cinerama, she's a funny horse.
I thought 12 doesn't look a bad price on the eye.
Yeah, but does she map behind Melody Belle? And if she does, which is the likely scenario, she's been a bit tardy out of the barriers this campaign, as much as Alan Sharrock would have been doing work on her. Can she finish over the top of the likes of Melody Belle? We know she's got the sectional Cinerama, but I just believe she's waiting for that mile and a quarter, that 2,000 metre. She hasn't been seen at 2,000 metres since I think maybe back in 2019, the Manawatu Breeders.
Okay.
She's had one start past 1,600, and she's a different horse from 2019 to where she presents 2021. But as I mentioned earlier, the anniversary was set up for those mid to back markers. And I concede she ran the fastest last 200 in that race, but it's that position from maybe the 800 to the 400 where she just struggles to get herself into the race. I just think 1,600 is, again, a little bit short for her in this company. I'm willing to take a set against Cinerama, but I understand why they're having a crack here. Group 1, if she can run in the first 3, job done for the breeders, owners, and Alan Sharrock.
Yeah, okay. Rock on wood, Paul. Opie wouldn't want to see Ryan Elliott booming past him at the sort of 200 and he's trapped on the fence because it's a quality horse, Rock on wood.
Very quick, and as BP said, if it wasn't for bad luck, Rock on Wood wouldn't have any luck. Had no room whatsoever down the straight in the Zabeel.
No, it was stiff that day, wasn't it?
Had less room than a punter on the dance floor at Candio's on a Saturday night. Just could not move.
Where's this Candio's? I've got to get there.
Or no longer around.
Right, okay.
Yeah, retired.
Yeah, as am I.
But it's very, very hard to look past Melody Belle. Unless she gets held up momentarily in the straight and Rock on Wood gets a bit of a break. Really can't see her getting beat. I think that $1.55 looks very, very juicy right now. If you're looking for a multi-filler, I'll jump on now because I agree with Steve. Yeah, I think we're going to see a 150 or 145.
That's how you weigh it up.
230.
Race 100 times.
Yeah.
Does she win more than 65 of them?
And most people would say yes. Probably on a similar vein to Levante. Really. Yeah, okay.
She probably doesn't need as many variables go his way as Levante does.
Yeah, let's not look back next week and go, wow, gee, that $1.55 was great value.
Yeah, exactly. We're probably doing the same thing again and for the rest of our lives. But
Shadow Cast, Matt.
It was a better run last time.
Yeah, and set weights and penalties. We can't look. It's not weight for age. It's set weights and penalties. And in terms of how it's weighted and scaled, it goes back on the last 18 months in terms of a record. Now, Shadow's Cast being a Group 1 winner, it was over 18 months ago it won this race. So it doesn't carry the 58 as it did last year. It goes back to 55 kegs. So in terms of set weights and penalties, he's well weighted in the race where you look at Rock on Wood, 55 he carried last year being a non-Group 1 winner. He now carries 58 12 months post. So as well as the mitigator sits in that same profile as Rock on Wood. So in terms of set weights and penalties and the way it formats, Shadow Cast looks well placed. It's just whether he's going as good as he was 24 months ago.
It's hard to know.
Last 3 winners of the Thornton all paid $20 plus.
Really? Okay. Can you name them?
Well, you've named Shadow's Cast.
The mitigator, Shadow's Cast, who was 3 back.
Was that Baker Forsman?
Stolen Dance.
Stolen Dance.
Stolen Dance.
Oh,
Yes, good on
thank
you,
goodness
BP.
for BP. He saved us. Stolen data. 20 plus. Okay, well, we're going to go from about Shadows Cast down if that's going to be the case here.
I think Melody Belle
She might have
is
something
looking
to
to
say.
even the ledger up.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Is this as good a Quinella as Aegon and a Maralinia? BP, Rock on Wood and Melody Belle, or not quite?
Well, it should be, but I wouldn't be quite leaping into it because I just... Yeah, we've just spoken about how unlucky Rock on Wood is. It's just he's likely to find an unlucky passage again, isn't he? But yes, I suppose the real answer to that question is yes. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd be diving too much into that. I'd be just more happy to just play the $1.55, to be honest, and just try and find your multiplayers and work out your multi-bets for the weekend and just take the $1.55.
How many Group 1s will this be for Melody Belle, by the way? Do we know?
13?
13?
Yeah, 13.
13,
Okay.
yeah. So that will equal Sunline's record.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, that can't
And
be
then she
that can't be
has a
knocked.
couple more potentially in New Zealand to break it, all going well. The Herbie Dyke, where she's a $1.80 chance and all in betting. And then maybe the 2,000 metre weight for AJ Ellerslie over Cup week.
Okay.
I think that's the plan. That could change, but
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So potentially 3 more. So what would that put her at? 15. Yeah, okay. Be some sort of record. She's some sort of horse. Yeah, okay. So Cinerama and play Shadows Cast and play Mambili Standing potentially. But besides that, I don't know what to do with the mitigator. He had a heart fibrillation last time. I know I didn't say that
well,
right.
rumours
But
post that race, he was going up for a spelling paddock.
Okay.
So to see him except for this race is a little bit surprising, but you got to take the advice that Peter Mackay has put him in the race. But and look, he's the defending champ, and on his best figures, he's right in the race. But
yeah.
he's well below that from what I'm seeing his last 2 or 3 starts.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with that. Yeah, look, going to be exciting. She's going to be the star of the day. There's no doubt about that, Melody Belle. It'd be great to see her on the track.
And it's quite telling that punters are willing to take
Yes.
$1.55, which is a very short quote when you're trading. Not
Yeah.
often do we get that in thoroughbreds. It's more in terms of standard bred prices. To take it so early,
This
2 or 3
far
days out, this far out,
Yep.
which really indicates that punters believe that's value. And
Yeah.
again, we're talking possibly $1.40, $1.50 on close.
Yeah, exactly. Usually they're specking those longer prices early, aren't they? Finding the value there and perhaps snapping up the odds on late in proceedings. But that is not the case here. More than happy to take the $1.55. And as Steve says, when you watch this coverage of the leg up, it may not be available. So shop early and shop well around Melody Belle. Great to see her back on track. Race number 9, guys. It is Wellington Cup day, and this is the Wellington Cup. Race number 9 on the card. The NZCIS Wellington Cup, Group 3 over the 3,200 metres, Stephen. Quite a dominant favourite here in the Wellington Cup.
You're on the minimum, Waisaki, Sam Collett, and again, Alan Sharrock having a horse that's very prominent in betting. 350 we posted on Wednesday, now trading at 320. Clearly the best bat runner in the first 24 hours of trading for the Wellington Cup. In front of Robusto at $8. The Good Fight, who ran second this race last year, only have a runner in single figures, 8.5. Te Akau Racing, well spec'd and all in betting. Some nice tickets around this galloper. In terms of final field, at $11. Same price New Zealand Cup winner and Dragon Storm. Just Amaze at 12 with Swords Drawn. Sergeant Blast, top weight 57 kegs, 11 out to 13. D&G at 17 with Dr. Fallacious. VCC at $18. And a couple there at 26 in Duplicity and Super Hoof. But overall, best bat runner clearly sits with the favourite number 10 in Waisaki.
No, Jeepers Creepers, BP. If you're not going to back Waisaki, get the board out, grab your darts and have a crack in this year's Wellington Cup.
Yeah, that's it. That really is it, Thad, isn't it? If you don't want to have a bet on Waisaki, well, then you're looking at about 10 other horses that could win the race.
Exactly.
Because, you start working through it and you think, Te Akau Racing, drawn well, has a really good run under its belt last time out of the race. I thought the exhibition gallop was tidy as well at Tarapi. You've got Robusto, good run last time with City of Auckland Cup. D&G, a horse who's been placed in a Wellington Cup, a former New Zealand Cup winner. You've got this season's New Zealand Cup winner, Dragon Storm. Just Amazed. The Good Fight's always there or thereabouts. Swords Drawn. It's a pretty long list, isn't it? In behind that could run a race. But then, personally, I keep gravitating towards Waisaki because of the big plan that has come off so far to this point for Alan Sharrock to have this runner in the right space heading into a 3,200 metre race. They'll be hoping that there's just that little bit of forgiveness in the ground, just to be able to help the horse out. And I'm just talking about cushion, I'm not in terms of it getting out to a wet track. If that's the case, well, that won't be a problem as well. But I'm just saying if there's just that nice give in the ground for the horse, it shouldn't be a problem. Son of Zed, all those factors. So good last time out in the rating 74 grade, putting them away. So sits in the right place in the weight scale. We just keep ticking those right boxes, don't we, with Wasaki when we get towards the Wellington Cup. So hence why I think he's the one to beat. But you don't want to back him. It's a tough ask, isn't it, trying to work out the rest.
It sure is. Manbilly Standing, this is your sort of race. Don't just tell me you're going to go back Wasaki in this year's Wellington Cup.
Well, you have to be impressed by the win on day one of the carnival.
Impressive, wasn't it?
Yeah, looks fit as a fiddle. But yeah, I am looking elsewhere.
Yeah, good. Here we go.
Look, I can't look past the likes of D&G, who BP correctly said won over the 2 miles of the New Zealand Cup. Was it a couple of seasons ago?
Yep.
Placed in the Wellington Cup, and Dragon Storm, who won the
New Zealand Cup.
That Jericho race over 3,000 metres, and then followed that up with the winning the New Zealand Cup over the 2 miles. I'd forget the last start. I like it. I like the fact that there's a number of horses in here who have proven over the distance, and those two I'm throwing in. So. Yeah, Dragon Storm and D&G.
What do we make of Dragon Storm last start, Steve? So good in the New Zealand Cup. Finished near last in a City of Auckland Cup. What do we say here?
I think it's wanting that yielding surface. If it can stay around that dead 5, potentially a dead 6, come Saturday afternoon, it does play in the hands of Dragon Storm. I think his best figures have been clearly in that range. I think he felt the track, that good 3 that was presented on New Year's Day around Dragon Storm. And at the end of the day, he was almost first up, basically. We know he had that residual fitness coming on the back of that New Zealand Cup win. But at the end of the day, it was 2 miles on a fresh, or 2,400 on a fresh state. So I think he'll benefit from that run. But a lot of it comes down to the track conditions around Dragon Storm.
Yeah, okay. D&G, that'd be a story and a half, wouldn't it? Manbilly Standing, if that could do the business. $17.
It was wonderful scenes after the victory in the New Zealand Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's what racing's all about. And, I'm sure if D&G was to get up again on Saturday, we'd see very similar scenes again.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be doing it for Terrell. That'd be for sure. You go through these horses in the teens, BP. It starts giving you a bit of a headache. We mentioned Dragon Storm, Te Akau Racing, Justin Mays. We haven't mentioned Swords Drawn, Sergeant Blast, Dr. Velocious, VCC. It becomes quite tricky, doesn't it? Hurts the head.
Yeah, it does. And it's going to be a difficult option trying to play a multiple bet, isn't it? Because your ticket's getting rather large all of a sudden if you're starting to try and include all these horses. So you almost have to work backwards and try and take horses out, first of all, before you formulate a multiple bet. I thought Te Akau Racing was maybe the horse I was interested in having a little something on at the $11. Now, this is a runner that we haven't seen the best of in this country. He's a runner that has been placed over 2,600 metres at this venue in a St. Leger. He's been also placed at Newmarket over 2,816 metres. So the further the better is the key. And I just think with his barrier draw of 1, it does mean he does get to do no work in the race and have that last chance if things can open up for him. So he was that one runner I was sort of keen to have a little something on at the bigger price. And then Robusto, I think you look at Robusto's run in the New Zealand Cup and also leading up to the New Zealand Cup by winning the Metropolitan. She's a daughter of Zed, so we've got a son of Zed and a daughter of Zed in the race. There can be big players over the 3,200 metres. Of course, Wasaki being the other runner that I refer to there, but the horse was good enough in the City of Auckland Cup. I actually like your thoughts around D&G there, Mawari. I do think that this is a horse that is a must because of just the fact that we've seen her run 3,200 metres 7 times. There's not many horses that can say that in the current sort of climate anyway, that they've run in 7 3,200 metre races, and this will be her 8th coming up on Saturday. So she just has to be a chance because of her liking for the distance. Wasaki on top, yes. Te Akau Racing a bit of each way. and I'll certainly be throwing D&G into my mixture of a multiple bet type along with Robusto.
Okay, quite a clear favourite though, Steve Wasaki, and you've had it favourite for quite a while in pre-post markets. You've obviously liked what you've seen.
Yeah, not on the original markets, open at $26,
Okay,
that
yeah,
is. So
sure.
some nice tickets around Waisaki. He was going through the grades post-COVID all the way back in August. There's a couple of negatives. At the end of the day, this is an open class stayers event.
Yeah.
Waisaki, the highest rated win, has been at 74 grade. He did contest a rating 100 in the early part of this season, or the back end of last season, post-COVID, but that was a glorified rating 70 race. It was just the terms of the new rating system after lockdown. So that is one slight negative around Waisaki, but again, those horses can profile quite well in terms of betting prospect in these cup races because they sit on the minimum quite often, as he does with 53 kegs. But in terms of the overall weight scale, it is quite compressed. So he's not well found in terms of the weight scale. There's a lot of horses here that sit on the minimum who clearly have a higher rating than Waisaki. So you're almost punting on potential around Waisaki and where this horse might be in terms of raw and hard ratings. But he does look like he brings winning form, and you can say for the rest of the field that really does lack. So I can understand why punters are reinvesting here in terms of they've had a nice collect on previous encounters with Waisaki. He looks to be the one to beat. Robusto, BP, does he quite get 2 miles, or does she quite get 2 miles, 3,200? I know she's in your top 4. Does she get that 2 miles, or do you just purely believe from barrier 6 that she'll be still in that first 4 or 5 like she was in New Zealand Cup?
Yeah, I just think that she's just got to try and get the softest run possible, and that means if she can put herself in a handy enough position, she's going to give her a chance. She's going to get her opportunity. Yeah, you're right. I think in that New Zealand Cup, we sort of saw that those 2 horses really stretched away from the rest, and she was only able to sort of keep whacking away and fighting on to finish into that 6th spot. But I'm happy to give her another chance because I've been pleased with what I've seen with her this campaign. In fact, I think she's just she's a horse that's just got better this preparation. So she's had a shot at the distance. She can set herself in forward and running. She'll be in front of a lot of horses and be able to hopefully relax under Lee Thinnis. I just think she's a bona fide chance. But we haven't mentioned the Good Fight. Look, the Good Fight's a horse who always takes money. He ran second in this race last year to Salsa Fe and probably just missed out on winning the Wellington Cup last year to this horse in the Good Fight. Now, the key with this horse is he's just always one of those horses that gives you a sight, doesn't he? He's a runner that's working home. You'd probably hope that the horse would have a better winning strike rate than what he does, especially with a lot of the figures that he goes around at in terms of his starting SP. But he is one of those horses that will be given his chance here again on the weekend. And probably the same can be said about the stablemate, and that being Swords Drawn and running number 13, with how this horse was able to work home and behind Savion Blanc in the City of Auckland Cup. So we've mentioned it already. There's a host of other chances if you don't want to be playing with Saki. So good luck, and it will hurt the head.
Yeah,
good luck.
The Good Fight starting to get a bit of a Stephen Fleming conversion rate problem here, man. Barely standing.
It's a bit hard on the horse.
It doesn't quite get there, does it? Unfortunate. Second last year.
1-1 in the betting last year.
Yeah, it was well back too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was well back commodity, and as BP mentioned, that price will naturally either stay or drag itself down on its SPs right throughout this preparation, or basically right throughout the career.
Yep.
So, look, it'll be well found in that top 2 or 3 in betting, the Good Fight. Robusto, I mean, yeah, I do have a query over the 2 miles just back on that horse, but probably overall brings the strongest form line in the City of Auckland Cup, running 3rd behind Savion Blanc and Platinum Invader. If any of those 2 horses were in this race, they would be the dominant favourite.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you mentioned VCC. You have got a bit of a soft spot for the horse, Steve, and it was fair last time at Awapuni.
Yeah, I see they've removed the blinkers. They added the blinkers last start just to try and switch it on at the business end of the race, or maybe even try and get it in a more forward position. But it just over-raced a touch along the rails there when it's situated midfield. The blinkers have been removed. I think they'll ride it neutral, even cold. Probably sit in the back third of the race. And look, it is a possible 1x3 play when I get on track on Saturday, because I've just been with it and I know it has the sectionals in the back end of a staying race to be competitive. So Baker Forsman, I'm sure that they've always worked back from the Wellington Cup. This has been their goal with the mare this time in. So I don't think it'd be a total shock if that horse ran in the top 3.
Okay. What about Duplicity? Can anyone build a case for me around Duplicity? Man barely standing, $26. Placed in the race before, I believe. Can anyone get behind it, Duplicity, for me?
I'll leave it to you.
That's all I had. Steve, Duplicity?
Oh, look, it's on my figures, it's about 6 lengths below it was this time last year. We know it can be competitive in this company, but it just needs to find a little bit.
Okay, let me get my pen.
Only in terms of the Wellington Cup, Statman Scotty Bill's come up with just a couple of points.
Please.
Only 2 of the last 14 winners have started favourite. So if you want to look elsewhere,
I always do.
there's that. Since the first running of the Wellington Cup in 1874, there's only been one winner that started with the letter W. BP will throw it out, I'm sure.
Pops, that could have changed your thinking there.
Here's a trivia. BP, name the horse.
How good's that, Pops?
Yeah.
I was trying to
Fresh
think of
Prince?
it. No.
Yeah.
No.
No. Fresh. Willie Smith?
Oh, Willie
18
Smith. Okay.
Oh, you
Mark
knew the
Todd.
answer.
Yeah,
Willie
it's early
Smith.
2000s.
Yeah,
Okay. Yep.
Okay. And they've been very, very closely run races recently.
Yep.
11 of the last 12 Wellington Cups have been decided by 1 length or less. And 5 of the last 8 have been decided by half a head or less.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that might have something to do with Tony Lee, because it's just such an exciting call as they come around the turn for the last time. Bang!
Yeah.
T. Lee, way too good.
Has that changed your thinking, Pops? Must have. Sure. You drop Wasaki on the back of that?
Oh, yeah. No, on those hard stats, you would.
You'd have to, yeah.
But what I will throw back to Paul with is I went back and I took down all those stats for the Karaka Million. I was like, okay, right, unplaced, and needed to do this, needed to do this. Well, it didn't give me on the bubbles, those particular stats last time round. So I don't know, what do I do with these ones? So I'm in a bit of a quandary. I'm not sure.
He got a severe dressing down, Pops, I can tell you, for his contribution last week.
I've got to say that a lot of those stats were pre the Te Akau dominance over the last few years.
Yeah, exactly. We hadn't factored that in.
Yeah.
Okay, top 4 Pops in the Cup, mate. What have you nailed it down to?
All right, well, we'll go with Wasaki. We'll stick with the favourite. Look, he's on the upward plane, and he's the horse that's got all the, as Stephen mentioned, the potential, and we're betting on that. But I'm happy to be with the trainer, because I think he's basically, he's found his way to try and get him ready for this race. And there's one final hurdle to go, and that is winning the Wellington Cup. So we'll go with him on top of Wasaki. I do like Te Akau Racing. I thought he might have been that little each way play in the race with his softer chance of getting a soft run in the race. Robusto. And D&G is the other horse I'm happy to put into the mix for a bit of a roughie.
Yeah, okay. Man Billy standing. You're going each way D&G and each way Dragon Storm. Is that the way?
That's right. And if you're playing the multiples, obviously Waisaki has to be in there somewhere.
Yep.
And look, I don't mind the look of Just a Maze either. I know we haven't mentioned.
No, it's about the one horse we haven't mentioned. No disrespect to the horse. Will be a pace influence in the race, Steve? Just a Maze?
Yeah, it will be. Again, I've got it round that Robusto question mark.
Yeah.
A true 3,200 metre galloper, but again, she's up to this level. The distance is a query.
Yeah, okay. Well, Wasaki, what we can say is that we're a very, very well back favourite. Looking to break history. Become the second horse with a W since 1874 to win a Wellington Cup. Going to be a great day out on track. You're going to be there, Stephen Hunt? You going to be on track?
I will be, yes.
Yeah,
I will be
lovely.
on track.
Yep.
Not working.
Oh, okay.
One day I managed to get on course and no commitments in terms of trackside, etc. So no, looking forward to it.
You don't miss the Wellington Cup, man, barely standing.
I hope to make it down there at some stage. Yeah, tidy up a few things here.
Are you coming, Pops, to the Wellington Cup?
I'm not. No. I'll be.
Sweens.
Right here, actually. So on Saturday. So no, I won't be coming along. But great memories. Certainly some great memories when living in Wellington. The Wellington Cup Day is a special day for all the locals that get along. And I know that previously when we used to have boot parties and what have you. But it's a fun day out, and they'll fill the joint up, no doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll stay with you, mate, for a bet of the day. Do we need some self-confession as well from last week? We want a bet of the day, and what happened to your bet of the day last week? I slips my mind. I don't know if it won or not.
Oh, come on.
Okay, just giving me a nice little half volley that I'm just about to dispatch. But yes, need I say more, was best bet last week, and it drifted.
Yeah, you got good price.
2.7. Yeah. So
I reckon in the running you would have got more.
Wow, yeah. To be honest with you, Stephen, I was probably a little bit concerned because the horse has missed the jump, hasn't been explosive as they were looking for. Jamie Richards mentioned, they wanted to label this horse urgent out of the barriers, and there was a few other horses who were keen to go forward and got into a tricky spot. But I think he showed his class because he won with 60.5 kilos, and he was too good, and he's won off tempo. I think that's a good thing to see from him. So really taken with how Need I Say More won that last week. So. We'll go with a horse I think is incredibly well placed. You have to wait for Sunday by the name of Opalescence, who lines up in race number 3. This is a 3-year-old filly that's taking on some 3-year-old horses here. Some of them haven't even won a race, and others have won one race. Now, Jason Beltry looks likely to run in race number 7, with the jockey being carded for that race. This is a 4-race winner, with Joe Cameroudin aboard, taking 4 kilos off, getting down to 54.5 kilos, drawn in barrier number 1. Should be able to hold that position, Joe Cam. 54.5 kilos. Opalescence, race number 3. I'll make that my best bet of the weekend.
Nice. Won't be double figures for Jenna. You won't miss it this week, Steve.
No,
no, double figures for Jenna. No.
Yeah, well, if Jason Beltry comes out, it looks the obvious 1-1 in betting Opalescence. I know they have a little bit of time for Howard Tredador, Nigel Tiley in the team, but she looks odds on.
Bet of the day from you, mate. What do you got for us, Wellington Cup Day? A special.
Yeah, look, I'll go to race 4 at Trentham. Happens to be the rating 74 sprint. I'm pretty keen on this Dun Eagle. I've probably picked one of the more competitive races on the day, but I've gone with Dun Eagle. I just like what he did off speed last time. He's ex-overseas galloper that's come here. He's had 3 runs this time in under the care of Sean Ritchie and Cole Murray. But look, the first 2 runs, they went on speed. He ran some hard sectionals up front and still was pretty competitive at the back end of those races. But they ran off speed last start. They'll do the same here from barrier 11. Billy Pinn gets it down to 54.5. There's plenty of speed over the 1,000 metres for Dun Eagle. And I think... look, if you go back just pure on numbers, when he won at Tauranga at 65 level, he ran the fastest last 600 of the meeting, equal fastest last 200. There's some damn good horses running at that meeting at Tauranga. So I think on the eye he was very good, but backed it up with figures. So just running a little bit colder from barrier 11 like he was in the previous. I think he can take the step up.
I like it. Dun Eagle. Paul, man barely standing. You always have a winner on Wellington Cup Day.
Yeah, look, I was tempted to go. Race 3, I'm Buzz, which I had a little go at on the first day of the carnival.
Yep.
Didn't have a lot of luck.
Granted.
Danielle Johnson is on this time, but I'm looking elsewhere. I've gone with race 6, the New Zealand Bloodstock Desert Gold Stakes, and I'm going to give Sweet Anna one more go. I'm hoping. That she goes boom this time. Opie Bosson, a huge plus.
Yeah, okay. $6 each way. Do we go each way?
Yeah, and I think we may drift by the time. Well, I'm hoping.
Okay.
I'm hoping.
Okay. You want a little bit more? Fair enough. We all do. Enjoy your Wellington Cup Day, gents. I know you will. Pops, you'll be bringing us the sights and sounds from in the studio, but good luck. Thanks for joining us again, as you always do. And thank you, our viewers, for joining us on a new and improved League Up. We'll see you in 7 days' time.